Hello guys, my name is Ayodiji Michael, and today I'll be taking us on how you can award grade to students. So if a student scores 70 marks, we are going to give such student the A grade. If the student actually score 60 but is less than 70, we are going to give him B. But if the student scores 50 but less than 60, we are going to award him C. And if the student also score 40 but is less than 50, that is a D. The anything below that is E. So the first step we are going to do here is that we are going to import our library. So that will be import pandas as PD. So now here is it. So we are going to be working with this result. So let me just show you the results. This is the result. It's an Excel file. So you can see the CA1, CA2 exam. Then we need to compute the total marks. Then we award the grade. So let's start. Okay, so the name of our file is raw result. So this is it here. So we're going to import it in. So now let's go to our Jupyter. So that will be, we're going to define the variable name as data equals to pd.read. It's an Excel file, so we're going to use read Excel. Then we import our data, so we run it. So now once we run it now, if you want to let's display our results. So let's say data.head. So I'm returning the first 5 rows here. So you can see that this is the student results. So now what we need to do is that we need to calculate the total mark. So we need to add the CA1 with CA2 and with the exam. So if you want to do that, what you do is that you write the variable name, then you define the new column. So let's call it total equals to data of C1 here, CA1 plus data of CA2 plus data exam. So what it's going to do is that it's going to add this cost together. That will be 17 plus 20 plus 28. So once we do it, so we display the head. So let's run it. So now you can see that it has actually created the total column here. So it has computed everything. So the next step is that we want to extract the values of this total column into a list. So let's extract it. So that will be, so let's call it scores equals to, that will be data of total. So since we are dealing with the values, that will be dot values. So now once we actually, so it will return a numpy. So let me run it now. So let's display the score. So you can see that it's an array. That's a numpy array. So what we need to do is that we need to convert it into a list. So that will be list. Then we wrap it inside the list. So we run it again. So it's now a list. So this is the score now. You can see that the first one actually corresponds with the first one here, while the second one corresponds with this one here. So the next thing we are going to do here is that we are going to use a for loop with an if conditional statement. So what we do here is that we say for, we are going to use a for loop for this list. That will be for score. Remember this one is scores, is having s at the end. So this is just like a, let me say, just like one score. For score in scores, if score, now we are defining the conditional statement. If score is greater or equals to 40 but less than 50, so we are going to, what are we going to do? We need to okay what we need to do is that we need to define another variable name that will hold the various grade for us. So what we are going to do is that we can just define the variable name. Let's call it grade that would be an empty list. So the first condition states that if score is greater than or equals to 40 and score is less than 50, don't forget to add the and. The score is less than 50, that would be grade dot append, that's a D, right? Grade dot append D, that's a D. Okay, let me use that's a D. So we define the second condition statement, that would be if score is greater or equals to 50 and score is less than 60, that's a what? That's a C. That would be grade dot append C. So the next condition is if score, that is if score is greater than or equals to 60 and score is less than 70. So we append, that's a what? A B. That would be grade dot append B. So again, if score is greater than 70, that's a what? That would be grade dot append. Now that's an A. So now if you actually check this, you will see that we haven't actually defined for below 40. So you can actually define it. So let's define it now. So you can just put it on the S block. Else, that means that if none of this condition is correct, that means that that person actually scored below 40. That would be else grade dot append, that's an E. So once we run our code, it will run. So now you can see that it's now successful. So let me show you the grade. So let me print grade, so you see it. Now consider these are the various grades. So now after getting the grade, what you need to do is that you add the grade to the column, to the data with a column name. So in order to do that, what our data is data, right? So these are data. So what you just need to do is that you just say data, then you define your column name. That will be grade. You know this. Let's call it student grade. Student equals to grade. So once we run it now, it will run. So now let's display our data. So let me just display the first 5. Now and look at it now. And look at our data now. So this person scored 65. He was given B 79. So let's display the full data. Now you can actually check it now. This guy has scored 47. He was given D. So let's look for someone with a low mark. So you can see this person scored 8. He was given E. So you can see that we can actually use Python to allocate grade to our students. So now, so this is it now. You can see it's very simple and very easy. So let me just put the first 5. So this is it. So if you want to plot a graph with this, it's very simple. What you just need to do is that you say data. So what's the column? Which column are we using? We're using student grade. So let me just copy it. That is data of the column name dot value score. You know, it's a string, so you need to use a value count. Okay. So now let's first display it before drawing the plots. Okay, sorry, I forgot to. Okay, now you can see that A is 23. We have 11C. Then E10, D5, B4. So now what you just do, you just put dot plot. Then you specify the kind. The kind equals to, let's use the bar chart on this part. Yeah, so you can see it now. So if you don't want it to display this thing, all what you just add is something. So you can see it now. So A is the highest mark, then followed by C, E, D, B. So if you want to save these results inside an Excel file, it's very easy. So what you just need to do is that you say data dot to Excel. You know, we are saving that as Excel, right? To Excel. Then you give it the colon name. So what should we call it? Let's call it YouTube YouTube grade underscore grade. Then you specify the type. That's X. That's an Excel. I don't know how to put it. Then another thing that you specify there is that you put the index so that it won't create another index. So you just put it as false. So if you want it now, it will. So now it's now saved. So now let's load our YouTube grid now. That will be, let's call it X. S equals to pd dot vid. That will be the YouTube grid. So now let's display the edge and see how it is. Now you can see it now. So our data is looking great, right? But let me show you, if we actually say this one, if we don't specify this one as false, it will create a column of index that you might not like. So let me just save it as, let me save this one as data 2. So now let me run it now. So let me load the data. You see that it will create some kind of data 2. Now if you check it now, you can see that it actually creates some like kind of name. So in order to remove it, we need to set this index to be equals to false. So now let's run it again. Thank you. You can see that it's no longer there. So thank you so much and God bless. Have a nice day. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel.